Hi everyone, this is Pastor Mark and welcome to a message of hope this morning. Today we'll be covering Matthew chapter 8, verses 5 through 13, the healing of the Centurion servant. The only thing worse in the ancient world was a leper. The next thing was a Gentile. Jesus covers the healing here, but he also is again covering his theme of including the excluded, or somebody that was excluded from Israel's religion of the day. A leper definitely wasn't allowed to come into the Jerusalem at all, and a Gentile was not allowed to worship in the temple. They had to stay, if you look at this diagram, in the Gentiles' court, which is basically around there. What makes this even triply hard was this was a centurion we're talking about. He's a Gentile. He is an enemy. They were a conquering nation, and the Jews hated them. So for this centurion to approach Jesus is highly extraordinary and definitely not the ordinary thing that would happen. So let's read this morning from Matthew chapter 8. Verses 5 through 13, and I'll be reading from the NIV this morning. So when Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, asking for help. "Lord," he said, "my servant lies at home. He's paralyzed and is in terrible suffering." Jesus said to him, "I will go and heal him." The centurion replied, "Lord, I do not deserve to have you come under my roof, but only say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority, with soldiers under me, and I tell this one, 'Go,' and he goes, and that one, 'Come,' and he comes. I say to my servant, 'Do this,' and he does it." When Jesus heard this, he was amazed at the man's faith, and he turned to those who followed him and said, "I tell you the truth, I have not found anyone in Israel with this amount of great faith. I say to you that many will come from the east and the west, and will come take their places at the feast with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven," including the bird in the background. "But the subjects of the kingdom will be thrown outside into darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." And then Jesus said to the centurion, "Go, it will be as you have believed it would." And his servant was healed at that very hour. What an amazing story this is. Again, the centurion, refers to Jesus as a man of authority. He's the first one that recognizes Jesus' authority over not only physical things, but over distance. And when he talks to him about military things, the soldiers under me and a servant under me, things like that, and I just tell them and they happen. You think about Jesus' authority. It was really shown in the Garden of Gethsemane when the mob approaches him and they ask him, "Who are you? And are you Jesus?" And he says, "I am he." And everybody falls down. We don't know what causes that, but we can guess it was probably the angels that were surrounding him. Peter cuts off the ear of Malchus, and Jesus puts his ear back on and he says, "Don't you think I can bring down 12,000 legions of angels?" That's 72,000 angels. That's a lot of angels. Jesus had the authority, and this man recognized it. He could have had a lot of things block him, as many do as they approach Jesus. Pride, race, authority, money, all these things this centurion had, but he just walked right through them and just realized Jesus' authority and acknowledges it immediately. How many of us need to do that with him today? Put our own will aside, put our own pride aside, and approach the King of the world and ask him to be here with us today in our anxiety, in our doubt, of a relationship with him. If we're not walking on water, folks, and we're not as close to Jesus as we need to be, and you can test that by putting water in your bathtub and trying to stand in it. If your foot touches porcelain, you're not there, and neither am I. So keep trying to approach Jesus with that. Jesus takes the second part of this and warns his subjects of the kingdom, which refers to the Jewish piety people around him, and says, there's going to many that are going to come from the east and the west in verse 11. And they're going to take their places at the feast of Abraham, Jacob, and Isaac. They all thought that in the kingdom of heaven. He's describing it. But the subjects of this kingdom, that's the Jews that are looking down on people in those days, were going to be thrown outside into darkness where they're going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth. He uses this saying, even this Gentile over here, this conquering nation Centurion that has this much faith is going to be there, and the Gentiles will be there. But the people that were born of Israel, or can be born into a religion or earn it anyway, you can't. You have to have this relationship with Jesus and believe in his authority, believe in him. So today, have the strength and courage of this centurion and believe in him. Take courage into the world. I heard this week that courage, to encourage, means to pour courage into someone. Encourage means to pour courage into somebody. So go and pour courage into other people with the Lord that you know. And if you need to know him better, look into the gospel, get on your knees and get to know him better. God bless you today.